Brick Simulator was a game I and many others played and loved. It was by far one of the biggest games released by Sharkbite Studios, only being surpassed by Lab Experiment. At the height of its popularity, the game would have thousands of people playing online. Though, after the years, the player base became small but dedicated. That was all for Brick Simulator until Fernigus, the head of Sharkbite Studios, posted that Brick Simulator 2 is in development. But now, when writing this video, the sequel has already had a low amount of people online and has received much criticism from the original fanbase. Why did this happen? Was the game really that bad? Well, that's what this video is here to explain. The original Brick Simulator was released on May 1st, 2020, so the game is already 4 years old. Man, I feel old now. The game put a spin on what was the norm for regular simulators. You start out with a starter hammer and backpack and destroy bricks to sell them for money. Once you get enough money, you can go to the next world and get more money from selling bricks. But what made it different is that it had pets actually themed for what world they were in, and it gives you boosts unlike other simulators, which just give you randomly thrown around pets. But in Brick Simulator, you also couldn't trade them, so there was no trade to win. It had microtransactions for VIP Game Pass or for gold or diamonds, but it costed way too much Robux for way too little reward. It had fully programmed boss fights in some of the worlds where you could also get a rare pet from. Fun fact, if you stay in one spot during this entire section of the B boss fight, you won't get hurt. Another cool thing is that they encourage you to explore each world instead of just moving on to the next one, by finding chests hidden around each world, which give a ton of rewards. It was an overall comfort game with a very large and loyal fanbase. It had a string of updates after launch, like new worlds and coolest of all, meteors, which you had to hit enough times to get really big rewards with gems, though unfortunately it did get nerfed in the following years. Suddenly everything stopped. In the game there is a portal that leads you to World 8, but it didn't show what was in there. The most we heard about a World 8 was when you go to the rocket in World 7, it would say to come back soon or wait a month to release, but that never happened. So the game just sat there. The player count fell from its thousands, and now it gets as low as 16 to 25 players. Then suddenly, on May 31st, 2023, Fernigus made a post hinting at a sequel to Brick Simulator. But we didn't have to keep guessing for long, because one day after, he made another post solidly confirming that it was in development. All the fanbase had to do was wait. And they didn't have to wait that long because less than 2 months later, on July 8th, 2023, it was released officially to the fanbase. The game's release did start with a high player count, but as per usual with these games, it did lose a couple players, but that's normal. After a couple months, the game now has the same average player count as Brick Simulator 1. So what happened? How about we see the gameplay currently? The game starts with you collecting a hammer and you start digging this pit with your hammer, but as soon as you realize this is way too slow and you need more power, so you go to this station and get more points by abusing a dummy, pretending that it's your wife. After getting enough power, you get wins, which is the game's other currency. Once you get enough wins and you go to the next area in the same world, the game received a ton of criticism because it made you go into other zones instead of in the same world instead of just going to other worlds. Another problem with the game was that there was an auto feature where you could auto mine and auto collect power. While this might sound good, that means you can just go AFK and progress more, which begs the question, why play this game? At least for other simulators that let you go AFK, you can earn UGC that you can use in other games. But in Brick Simulator 2, there is no UGC. So obviously it gets very boring very fast. I did make it far into the game, but there was a point where I just gave up. The game didn't have area specific pets, it was just the same pets from the last game, now put in spots that didn't make sense. Shark and a starfish in a desert section. Though there is still a consistent average of players, I just can't see the game other than disappointing. Even after it was changed to Brick Adventure, it doesn't change my mind. The game was always developed and released with the intention of being a sequel to the first game, which unfortunately meant that I had to fill the standards from the first one, which unfortunately it really didn't. I want to make this clear, I mean no hate on Sharkbite Studios or Frenigus, but I still feel that it didn't meet my expectations. I even had a video about the first Brick Simulator, but I decided to stop working on it because the sequel was just that disappointing for me. But thank you all for watching.